warm welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Hishain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Priority will be provided to the local industries in the tendering process. Gazette on health guidelines pertaining to general election will be issued within the next 2 days. News in detail. As the Power and Energy Minister Mahinda Amaraweera announced yesterday, Core Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena further explained over the decision of providing a concession for the general public on their electricity bills during the lockdown period. Minister Gunawardena also said that consumers will also receive a grace period of 2 months for the payment of the relevant bills.
Billion 3ක් අලාභයක් පාඩුවක් විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයේ විඳගනිමින් ජනතාවට විදුලි බල පාරිභෝගිකයන්ට අසාමාන්‍ය වාසිය සැලසෙන පරිදි විදුලි බිල පෙබරවාරි මාසයේදී විදුලි බිලට සමගාමීව මාර්තු අප්‍රේල් මැයි කියන මාස තුනේ විදුලි බිල ගෙවන ලෙසට යලි ගණන් සැකසීමක් සිද්ධ කරන්නට කියලා කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය තීරණය කළා. ඒ අනුව කොවිඩ් වසංගතයට පෙර පෙබරවාරි මාසයේදී බිල රුපියල් 10 නම් මාර්තු මාසයේ අප්‍රේල් මාසයේ මැයි මාසයේ ගෙවිය යුතු වෙන්නේ රුපියල් 1000යි. අපි දන්නවා මේ මුළු රටම වසා තැබීම කරනකොටගෙන සෑම නිවසකම පාහේ විදුලි බල පරිභෝජනය වැඩි වුණා. මොකද තමන් බැහැරට යන්නේ නැතුව නිවස තුලම ඉඳීම කරනකොටගෙන විදුලි බිල වැඩි වුණා. ඒ වැඩි වුණත් ඒටත් සාහනයක් සලසා දෙමින් ඒ අලාභයත් විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලය විඳ ගනිමින් පෙබරවාරි මාසයේ බිලට සමගාමීව විදුලි බිල ගෙවන ලෙස දැනුම් දුන්නා. දැන් එතකොට ප්‍රශ්නයක් මතුවෙනවා. නියමිත පරිදි වැඩි මුදලක් ගෙවූ පාරිභෝගිකයන්ට මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඒ අකණ්ඩව ඉදිරි විදුලි බිලෙන් හිලව් කිරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය විධිවිධාන යොදන්න කිව්වා.
Moreover, the cabinet approval was given to amend the procurement guidelines of the country, placing priority for the local industries in the procurement activities. In the meantime, the cabinet has decided to extend the guarantee payment of 14,500 rupees or 50% of the basic salary provided for the private sector employees until September. Although provisions are placed for local selections in the government procurement guidelines, it has been noticed that the local suppliers and companies have faced with certain limits in the provisions. Furthermore, as a measure to uplift the local industries and generate more employment opportunities in the country, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, under the capacity of the Minister of Finance, Economic and Policy Development, has proposed certain amendments to the procurement guidelines. Thus, upon the cabinet approval, it was decided to procure office furniture and equipment only from local producers having at least a minimum of 50% of local value addition. Moreover, procurement of all the software requirement will be obtained only from local companies, and if difficult to act accordingly, necessary goods will be procured from non-local companies subjected to the approval of Sri Lanka Information and Communication Technology Agency. Sri Lanka Information and Communication Technology Agency manufacture the specifications relevant to the computer hardware required for the state institutions, and if any institution make a local value addition of 25%, they are to provide a 30% selection at the procurement evaluation process. Moreover, all constructions, including those of house, irrigation, water supply and sewage systems, would be awarded to local contractors, and if given the subcontractors to foreign contractors, those contracts should not exceed 10% from the contract value without temporary funds. The Purchasing Managers Index issued by the central bank shows that with the normalizing of economic activities in the country following the complete relaxation of the COVID-19 related restrictions for mobility, the Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index has increased significantly in last month, recording 67.3 index value with a month-on-month increase of 18 index points compared to May this year. Accordingly, the increase in manufacturing PMI is underpinned by the significant improvement in production, new orders and employment, especially in the manufacturing of food and beverages and textiles and wearing apparel subcategories, where many respondents highlighted that their factories were operated throughout the month of June, receiving more new orders than in the previous month, mainly supported by the local demand. Employment sub-index increased beyond 50 threshold with the improved manufacturing activities. In the meantime, services PMI returned to growth territory in June this year, reaching 50.4 after recording index values less than 50 threshold level for 3 consecutive months. This was underpinned by increases observed in new businesses, business activities, employment and expectations for activity sub-indices. New businesses, particularly in financial services, insurance and wholesale and retail trade subsectors, improved in June this year with the gradual normalization of economic activities. With the complete lifting of domestic travel restrictions, business activities in transportation subsector, business activities related to wholesale and retail trade, financial services and other personal services also increased during the month. However, employment continued to decline in June this year compared to previous month due to halt of new recruitments, and further backlogs of work declined in June 2020, implying that any increase in demand could be met with the existing capacity of service providers. Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Government today assured that the much requested health guidelines pertaining to the general elections would be gazetted within the next 2 days after receiving the necessary advice from the Attorney General and the legal draftsman. Health Minister Pavitra Vanniyarachi made this revelation briefing the heads of media at the Temple Trees this morning. Speaking at a discussion with the heads of electronic and print media chaired by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at Temple Trees today, Health Minister Pavitra Vanniyarachi said that the health guidelines pertaining to the elections as recommended by the Director General of Health Services will be gazetted within 2 days' time. Health Minister explained that they are still waiting for the necessary advice from the Attorney General and the legal draftsman. Early Elections Commission Chairman Mahinda Deshapriya urged the government authorities to gazette the health guidelines soon to ensure that a safe election process takes place amidst the concern over the spread of the coronavirus. Minister Vanniyarachi also added that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has written to the ministry asking it to formalize the health guidelines for the elections as requested by the Elections Commission and under the supervision of the Attorney General. Health officials told media heads that there is no need of going for an island-wide curfew as 3 areas in Rajanganaya area have been locked down. He also added that 533 patients were identified from the Kandakadu cluster and the COVID-19 cases in Sri Lanka has surpassed 2,600. Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe, Commander of Sri Lanka Army Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva, Education Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, Director General of Government Information Nalaka Kaluava and several others attended the meeting. President of the Government Medical Officers Association Dr. Anuruddha Padaniya suggests that a slogan campaign should be introduced soon to stress the public of the gravity of the coronavirus and to pressurize them to always follow the precautionary measures. The president of the Government Medical Officers Association brought this suggestion while briefing the media at the Temple Trees. Joining a media briefing headed by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the Temple Trees this morning, GMOA President Dr. Anuruddha Padaniya said that 96% of global COVID-19 related deaths are reported with 2 or more than non-communicable diseases. Quoting an international medical journal Lancet, Dr. Padaniya said that only 3.6 individuals have died due to COVID-19, while all others have suffered with NCDs for a long time. Dr. Padaniya also said that experiments are being done to use the robotic arm technology to reduce the time taken for a PCR test. He also said that the robotic arm technology can save a lot of time and a report of PCR test will be given within 2 hours in contrast of almost 24 hours. Meanwhile, Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe said that the amount of PCR tests done for a day has been increased gradually. He said that only 82 PCR tests were conducted in the month of March and it was increased to 669 in the month of May. He further added that accordingly, in July, they have already conducted 1,466 PCR tests with the assistance of few other organizations. Dr. Jasingha also added that no need to panic over a second wave of corona, as each and every contact of the Kandakadu Rehabilitation Center have been traced by the health sector officials as assisted by the intelligence units. With a view to preserve the foreign currency reserve position of the country amidst the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the central bank, upon the cabinet approval, has issued an order introducing various measures on outward remittances on capital transactions for a period of 6 months effective from the 2nd of this month. Accordingly, the CBSL has suspended the general permission granted to make outward remittances for investments overseas through the outward investment accounts by persons resident in Sri Lanka, excluding the instances such as investments to be financed out of foreign currency loans obtained by the investor from a person resident outside Sri Lanka, an additional investment to be made to fulfill the regulatory requirement in the investee's country applicable on the investment already made in a company or a branch office in that country, an additional investment or infusion of funds to be made by eligible resident companies in already established subsidiaries or branch offices in overseas up to a maximum of $20,000 for the purpose of working capital requirements of the investee. The remittances up to a maximum of $20,000 for the purpose of maintenance of liaison, marketing, agency, project, representative or any other similar offices already established in overseas. Moreover, the CBSL has suspended the outward remittances through business foreign currency accounts or personal foreign currency accounts held by persons resident in Sri Lanka other than for the remittances on current transactions up to any amount or capital transactions up to a maximum of $20,000. Furthermore, it has limited the eligible migration allowance for the immigrants who are claiming the migration allowance for the first time up to a maximum of $30,000. It has placed limitations on the repatriation of funds under the migration allowance by the immigrants who have already claimed migration allowance up to a maximum of $20,000. The above restrictions are only applicable to the identified capital transactions and do not impose any restrictions on already permitted current transactions. Stay tuned for stock updates. Welcome back after the break. The trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 36.85 points to close at 4,953.54, and the S&P SL20 gained 30.68 points to close at 2,126.63. The turnover was 567 million rupees and over 30 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. And that's all news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care. Good night.